Hello, and welcome to the Torah Outreach Program, Erev Shabbos Burst of Inspiration. Today's Burst of Inspiration is being sponsored by Dr. PJ and Mrs. Judy Goldberg as a zechus, as a merit for our soldiers, that they return safely back to their homes and their families, and for the hostages, that they should be returned back to their homes and families and in good health. Today's Torah reading, or this week's Torah reading, the last parsha, the last section of the book of Bereshis, the end of the life of Yaakov, our forefather, the end of the life of the Shvatim, the sons of Yaakov, the 12 tribes, are the forebears of the 12 tribes. Next week we begin a whole new chapter for the Jewish people, talking about the slavery in Egypt, the Exodus, and then from there, getting the Torah. So how does this parsha, how does this book of Bereshis, how does it end? What is the last message that after all the stories of our forefathers and creation, what is the last message? After Yaakov is buried, Yosef's brothers, Yaakov's 10 out of his 12, because one son wasn't involved, but 10 out of the 12 turn to Yosef and they beg him to forgive them, because they figure the fact that they sold him down to slavery in Egypt, and he has every ability in the world to take revenge. He was the second most powerful person in the world at the time. Pharaoh was the king of the world power, Egypt. And he appointed Yosef to be his second in command. Yosef could do anything. He has an entire country behind him. He could do anything to take revenge on his brothers. And they figure, well, why hasn't he? Because Yaakov, he wouldn't hurt our father. He wouldn't hurt his father. So of course he won't take revenge. But now Yaakov's died, and Yaakov had died. So now what? So they go to him and they beg for him to forgive them. Yosef tells them, you did nothing wrong. I have no complaints against you. I'm not upset. I don't feel I need to take revenge, because I have no personal feelings as far as you hurt me. How's that possible? They destroyed his life. 17 years old. The apple of his father's eye. The one who got to sit and learn Torah with his father more than anybody else, and that's what bothered them the most. That was cut off from him. He was sent away as a slave to a vile, decadent society at 17. No connection to his family, no connection to his heritage, all because of his brothers misunderstood him. Sold as a personal slave for an Egyptian officer. And from there sent to prison, where he had to be there for several years. And finally got taken out, and now he's in a place of incredible power. And then his brothers come to him, they need food, they need support, and he's supporting the family single-handedly. And now he has every possibility to do whatever he wants to show his brothers what they did to him. And what does he say? Al tiro. Don't be afraid. And here's the point. Katachas Elokimani. Am I in the place of God? Vatem chashavtem alai ra. You wanted to do evil to me. Elokim chashva latova. God was intending that to be for good. Lamana say kayom hazeh lachios amrav, in order that I can support a great nation, the nation of Israel, that which is going to develop from this situation in Egypt. In other words, the end of the book of Bereshis, after all the trials and tribulations of Adam, very first man, who was thrown out of Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden. Noah, who watched the decimation and destruction of the entire world. Avram, who had to stand up against the whole world and say, I believe in something that nobody else believes in, and was persecuted for that reason. Yitzchak, who had to jump onto an altar and almost lose his life by his father's hand. Yaakov, we know, who suffered tremendously from the beginning of his life until the last 17 years that he was in Egypt. And now the final message is, it's all in God's hands. We have no reason to be upset. We have no reason to worry. The Rebbeinu Shalom, master of the world, has a plan. Sometimes it hurts because we can only see one section of the plan at a time. Yosef, when he was sold down to Egypt, only saw himself as a kid, a 17-year-old kid, being so misunderstood, unfairly judged, sold as a slave. No idea why. And then later, he predicts the famine that's going to affect Egypt and Israel, and becomes a great leader in Egypt, and therefore is able to save his family. Did he realize that in the beginning? No. But in hindsight, he realized it's all in God's hands. He's in charge. And therefore, we're all pawns in God's hands. His plan is for the ultimate good of everyone involved. But the way to not worry, the way to think it's going to be okay, no matter what, is to keep remind yourself, am I in God's place? Am I running the show? No. That person who hurt me, is he running the show? No. Is the reason this terrible thing just happened to me, is there a bigger picture? Yes. But I can't see it because I have very limited vision. I know very little of what happened in the past. Only what I hear and what I read. I know absolutely nothing about the future. And even the present, the here and now, I don't see everything. Kadosh Baruch Hu, who's running the show, has a whole different standpoint. He sees past, present, and future all in one picture. From above, he gets his bird's eye view and sees how everything happening and how it all plays in. I've given this marshal, this parable in the past. People like to make puzzles. And if you're putting a puzzle together, you don't always see where the whole picture. And sometimes it looks pretty ugly because, piece here, piece there, they connect different ways. And Hashem is throwing those puzzle pieces at us one by one. And as we connect them, we're not getting the picture, and it looks messy. But in every puzzle comes with a box. And on the top of the box is a picture of what the puzzle is supposed to look like when it's done. Kadosh Baruch Hu, God, has that picture. All we see are the pieces. Shabbos.